Law enforcement. I'm speaking directly to every man and woman that has gone into law enforcement around this world. The first fact that should already have been established by the time you've got to this particular video, as was laid out in the 3 foundational knowledge introduction clips, is you now know of the unlawful conversion that's happened against you, your children, your mother, your father, all of us. That's a fact. Secondly, we the people, in the majority, I would have to say 99.9% of every man and woman that's acting in the capacity in law enforcement, you are not part of a private society, a secret society called the bar. And you better wake up and recognize that this bar that you have placed all this trust in for all these years, called Crown attorneys who you're working with, has been misplaced. These people are operating unlawfully against all of us. And they're committing massive wrong and harm. And you've never been given this truth. And that's why I've done what I've done. As I said in the opening, I've done this for everybody. Most people, when they learn a few truths, or they try and fight within the system and try and correct something, they just give up and they walk away. I didn't do that. I've kept this going for 20 years so that when I came forward right now, here in this moment, that what I'm bringing forward with you is our truth. And if what I claim is not true, I'm prepared to be locked up for the rest of my life. And I love my life. I love this world. I don't want to be spending it in some jail cell somewhere. So why would a man do this? Why would a man bring this all forward? Because it's our truth. And the people in law enforcement right around this country, especially in Canada, you have got to wake up and, pardon my language, pull your heads out of your asses. Maybe who I should be talking to are your family and your friends, because they understand that every single day when you guys walk out that door, that you are putting your lives on the line, and they worry about you. They care about you. Even though I've never met you or any of you, I love you just the same as I love my neighbor across the street. If I ever see that you're in need or help, I'm right there. I don't care what outfit, what costume you're wearing. You're my fellow man or woman. And that is what needs to be recognized right across this land, is that we have a serious crisis in consciousness. It's been corrupted intentionally. But this is the beauty of all of this, is that here, right now, in this moment, do you realize that law enforcement in this country and around this world, you have the opportunity and the chance for the first time to do something that hasn't been done in over 1,000 years in this country of epic proportions. You actually have the truth. We all have the capacity and the infrastructure in place to correct this massive corruption. But first and foremost, it's going to take all of you to recognize and understand the truth that's been laid in front of you, which I have done very simply. Nobody can deny what has been laid in front of you. And if what I have placed in front of you is not true, then let's see you people be the man or the woman, as I have. You send me an email, you send me where I'm wrong, the information that's verifiable in your own handwriting with your wet signature, that you're prepared to go in front of everybody in this country and say, that man there, Christopher, is lying. Good luck with that. And to any man or woman that also, just you know how quickly this shuts down all these corrupt people wearing these black robes, ask any of them. Show me where in any of your books the word man or woman appears in your so-called precious law books. Doesn't appear. And then look at them quite frankly. Is any man or woman your property? Do you have jurisdiction to administrate property over a man or a woman? And they're going to tell you, no, they don't. They have jurisdiction over persons, over defendants, right? All these legal terms which they've placed upon we the people, they cloak you when you go in there. Oh, now I've got you. No, you don't. We've got you. And the gig is up for the bar. And this world has never needed you people more than ever right now in law enforcement. We need you to come together, and we need you to start taking down this corruption. The most powerful thing you can all collectively do together is to join us at these public courthouses and ensure that when people are accessing them correctly, as we're doing for the Mannery family, that you're going to stand there shoulder to shoulder with us. And you're going to make sure that none of these people, remember, they're just your fellow man or woman that work for another service corporation that's also a private society called the Bar, are going to be allowed to trespass anymore over people. What happened after the video, hopefully you've watched it, of Brent and Kathy and their testament. Right after we recorded that on November the 8th, that evening, the Thursday, they had left. And Brent hadn't got any further than maybe 5 minutes from my home when he called me and said that he just got a communication from Linda Templeton. That's this woman, you know, who wears a robe, who's at some other public courthouse in London, Ontario, who stole this man's property from his file. It's different if she was looking at the file because they needed to assign the correct judge to it, okay, a common law judge. That we understand. If that's why they needed to see the file and review it, there's nothing wrong with that. We have no problem with that. But where this woman took this man's file and treated it as if it was her property, this woman worked for the Attorney General's office for most of her career. She works closely with Doug Downey every single day, and their offices, their agents. And this woman has thrown this case out that goes directly to that man, Doug Downey. That'd be like if, again, I always use the example of McDonald's. Imagine if McDonald's was in providing all the agents and officers to run our public courthouses. They're the service corporation that is running our public courthouses. You've gone and filed your claim. You go back to the courthouse to follow up on your paperwork that's in your property, your claim in court, and you're told that some woman, some executive from this corporation that you don't belong to, this private society, the bar, or the Service Corporation Ontario, that's providing services to you, they've taken your file, your property, and removed it from that courthouse where it laid. That's a no-no. Now they've come back and they've ruled over it that this file has no standing, that it cannot proceed in a public courthouse because they've deemed it as not fitting in with their legal world. Well, now you know that we're not part of the legal world. So you just ask this Linda Templeton. You show me anywhere it says that this man, Brent Mannery, is a legal person. He's never a legal person. He was born a lawful man, period. So we have these people now that took his property, they've administrated over it, and now they've tossed it out instead of ensuring that a trial jury is set as we move forward to the process. Why? Because these people are corrupt in what they're doing. The corruption is right out in everyone's face. And when you go back to my presentation from September the 15th, I made a commitment then to everybody that I said that I'm going to hold every man and woman accountable in law enforcement and also in these court systems to their honor. And that's what's being brought onto the light. Your honor isn't worth anything right now for the actions that you're doing against the people. And these people that are wearing the black robes, you're all in a lot of trouble. And you better change your tune really quickly, okay? Because I've taken the impression and the position that these people have also been lied to all their lives. The key is they're obviously incredibly educated when you look at all the crap that they've learned with all this legalese nonsense, but they're very well educated people. Do you mean to tell me that what you've bared witness to, that this documentation that was created, which they're using against you now in all these private courts, as Mr. Walter Nojic communicated on in his audio transcript, as everybody heard, this is a private court. Really, here's a man that's being paid by you, the people. He says he's the court within the transcript, and then he says it's a private court. How are people supposed to seek justice if things are being done in secrecy? If people are being dragged into courts that have no jurisdiction control over them? Remember, all legal proceedings are that belong out in Admiralty Maritime Law. It's out in the sea. Are we in our public courthouses with water wings on, flapping around, and you got a crown attorney over there with rubber dinghy on, and you got a man wearing a big robe that pulls the cord and blows up to an inflatable vest? No. That's why it's called theater. That's why it's called a court, because there's a game that's being played, and it's a sick game. Okay? The bar itself, their motto, and it's a maxim in law, let those deceived be deceived. That could be their business model, because that's what they're doing to all of you out there. And I'm talking directly to every man and woman right now. At what point do you pull your head out of your ass and quit being ignorant and realize what is being done to you and grow a pair? These people, we are not their property. They are supposed to serve us, and they're supposed to have an honorable process in place so that all of us can seek the administration of justice at a public courthouse. And that is why, first and foremost, I say to every man and woman that's acting in law enforcement today, is there just one of you with courage? One of you in this country, in Canada? Because I haven't found you. There was one woman I came across at the RCMP. Kathy McCrory, doesn't appear that she's very interested, as you can see from the communications that have gone back and forth, in doing anything about what is going on at this public courthouse. Is that how they would treat a terrorist attack? If someone walked in and said, well, I have information that there's a bomb that's going to go off, whatever. Well, just a second, sir. We're gonna write this up and we're gonna send this off to intake, which should really say no take. That's what they call their departments in law enforcement when they're intaking all these complaints, which I'm not complaining. It's a verified claim that's gone into them. We've got the evidence, and then as these communications are being written in real time, the RCMP is being shown the corruption that's going on at our public courthouse. Now, we can't go through the OPP for this, who's working in all these public courthouses. Why? Well, everyone sees what Thomas and his officers have done. They're not going to protect anybody. They're not protecting anybody. Right now, they're protecting their own asses, and it's not going to work. So we've gone to the RCMP, these honorable men and women that work for the RCMP. Are you going to step up and do the right thing? Doesn't appear it. As of this date today, Kathy McCrory has received 2 very important, powerful communications, and she's done nothing. The second, so all of you know in law enforcement, if someone comes to you and tells you that they're being blocked and prevented from accessing a public courthouse, that is no different than a man or woman coming forward to you telling you that there's a terrorist attack that's going to affect everybody in a 100-kilometer radius or 1,000-kilometer radius of the courthouse, right? Because these people are preventing us from executing what is a God-given right. We have a right to access that public courthouse in the right capacity and move a claim in court against our fellow man who's trespassing. And all of this is being shown. So I bring this all out into the light so everybody can clearly see the communications. They can see the actions of all these people. Everybody now understands the roles that all these people are acting in. Okay? As the saying goes, all the world is a stage. And that's what's going on. All these people are acting in a capacity when you walk into that public courthouse, but you're not acting in any capacity. You're there in the capacity of a man or a woman. And this is what law enforcement needs to understand. This is your time. This is your moment to come together and stop all of this corruption that's going on. Your own man, Brad Blair, okay, the head of the OPP, on September the 14th, I've included the link here within this file. Go and look him up online when he spoke for over an hour with the man representing him as the lawyer for the claim that they filed against Doug Ford and the Ontario government. But listen to what this man is saying. He's telling you that this is just the tip of the iceberg what's going on with this service corporation. And that he's also lost faith in the OPP, that it's been compromised because of this process and putting, lo and behold, this man Thomas, who's only making the case for Brad and for myself and the claims that are going in, that there's corruption going on here. How can these people completely turn their backs on the Mannery family, Brett and Kathy? Did you watch their testament video? That's like your mother and father. How can you people sit there and do nothing who have been given these communications? Because all of this is being brought out to the light. So my advice to all of you, be it RCMP, OPP, Municipal, you guys better come together, and you better come together quickly. Contact us, work with us, and let's show the people that those public courthouses are sacred. Because that's the most important thing right now in our world, is that courthouse. Because that's where we can stop and correct all this wrong and harm that's occurring in our world. Everything that I'm laying forward in the knowledge folders, whether we're talking about 5G, the wireless, the vaccines, all of this stuff stops. And we're able to shine a very bright spotlight on it so that it can be investigated. As Brad Blair refers to in his speaking to the people in the live broadcast that they did. He's telling everybody that this is, now they're advocating for public hearings. You know what? We've had more public hearings in this world than you can shake a stick at. What's required are public prosecutions. And that's what we've begun here right now. So the lines in the sand to every man and woman that's in law enforcement. You better stop pulling people over for traffic violations if they're not operating under a license at that time. Man does not require a license. And you better wake up, because our world depends on it. The children, your family, your friends. Are you not here to protect them as well too? That's why I say I almost want to tell all you people that are in law enforcement, get the hell out of the way. Let me speak to the mothers and the fathers of you. Let me speak to the husbands and the wives of your children, your family, your friends. That people that love you, that care about you, that know that you're putting your lives on the line every single day. Those are the ones in this moment right now that I'll speak to. Listen to what's been said. Listen to how that fellow man or woman who you love, your father, your son, your brother, your daughter, they've been lied to. And they are being used in a horrific manner because you're put on the front lines. When the shit hits the fan, right? Even if it's the smallest call that's coming in on 911. Do we got a little parasite called a lawyer that's going out there at 3 o'clock in the morning to keep the peace, to protect the people? No. His life's not on the line. He's in a little cozy courtroom causing all this wrong and harm, getting $400 or $500 an hour. Some of these private lawyers, but they're being paid enormous amounts of money by we the people. And they are collectively stealing from us. They are acting against us, and they've usurped our public courthouses. Now, don't tell me that that does not equate to a terrorist attack in our world. When every single courthouse around this country has been compromised, right now, real time, what are you going to do about it? Because I've laid out in front of everybody here the truth so that you have it. So you ask that man or woman that wears the robe. It boils down to one question. Do you have jurisdiction over a man or a woman? And use those words. And they're going to say, no, I don't. Then where do they get the right to administrate property without right? They can't. And the only way they've been able to do it is using you guys as force based on your ignorance, which is rampant right across our courthouses. Some of you people in the courthouses from the OPP, we've got you on tape. You're saying, oh, I don't want to hear this crap. I don't care about it, but I don't care about this stuff. Really? We're putting an enormous amount of trust in all of you to bear witness while you're working and being paid by we the public and our public courthouses to make sure that also you're another set of eyes to make sure that there's no shenanigans going on. But we have people in there that just don't care. They could care less. They're fine with attacking people in the court. They're fine doing what they do because someone wearing a black robe is telling you to do that. And you're not thinking for yourself and understanding what is actually going on. Well, now none of you have any excuse because it's been given to you honorably and properly and factually for you to read, to understand. And if what I said is not correct or true, then you have the balls to put your name to a piece of paper and you send it to me with your evidence that's verifiable, and I will share it immediately with the world if what I've claimed here is not occurring. So in closing, if there is one thing that I can say to every man and woman that's operating in law enforcement, is now is the time. Now is the time that you all need to come together. You need to wake up, and you need to look at this society to which you do not belong to, called the bar, and you need to start holding these people accountable. And if you don't have the capacity in law to understand how to move the claim and courts forward, which is ultimately why I've done this, so that when all of you out there find a man or woman that is doing wrong or harm or trespassing against a man or woman, you don't go and take all your work, your case, your firsthand knowledge, excuse me, and then hand it off to some lawyer from some society that you don't belong to. No, you, the man or the woman, are going to move that claim in court into our public courthouses. And you're going to present that in front of the people, and we're going to hold that man or woman accountable. And that man or woman may need love in their life. They may need counseling. They may need support. But that's for the jury of our peers to understand. Not a collective group of people whose system, what they've designed, is based on theft and massive fraud. They are stealing billions from this country every single year. And it has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is when the truth has been brought out into the light, which it has here with this site. And now the second part of this is, what are you going to do about it?